Hello, everyone. My name is Lacey. This is Lieutenant Dan, and that's Sylvester. And you are watching Reptiles. Welcome, everyone. So, I have decided that today we are doing a 2026 Ball Python Care Guide. Lieutenant Dan here has been the star of the show for almost a year, and he doesn't have his own care guide. He's getting a little jealous of Sekhmet up in our house here. And to the back of me, this is Sylvester. He's my little tuxedo man, and he just wants to be included because he likes the attention. So say hello to Sylvester. He's a good boy. Now, ball pythons, they come from Western and Sub-Saharan Africa, where it is hot and it is humid. Ball pythons in the wild, they will generally be ground-dwelling snakes, though if they really want to, they can climb trees when they need to. But they typically prefer to stay on the ground in burrows and hunt rodents or other small, cute things that come their way. Here in captivity, obviously, we do not have the wide-ranging areas of Western and Sub-Saharan Africa. We have houses and apartments and roommates and all these other things, right? So, in our homes, we do the best we can. An adult ball python should be in an enclosure similar size to the one behind me. The bottom one in the picture here is Lieutenant Dan's house. It is 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot and 120 gallons in volume. This is big enough to where, as an adult, he can fully stretch out and be totally fine. Daniel is a 4 foot long snake. So the general wisdom is that your enclosure should be between the width and the length should be enough for your snake to stretch out fully along those two sides. Lieutenant Dan here has an extra 2 feet, and he uses that space for sure. I give him climbing opportunities. Sylvester's kind of blocking it a little bit here, but you can see I have some cow ribs, I have a hammock, I have a bunch of fake plants, and I have some ropes in the back here, all for him to climb on and explore. Does he use these? Yes, absolutely. Lieutenant Dan is an explorer, so he loves the climbing opportunities. He likes to go up there and hang out, relax, even eat his meals up there sometimes. He is just a fascinating and wonderfully good boy. Isn't that right, Mr. Man? He's a good boy. Very handsome, very cool. In his enclosure, you're gonna wanna make, well, not his enclosure, because, he's mine. In your snake's enclosure, should you get a ball python, you're gonna wanna make sure you have a temperature gradient. Over on this side of his enclosure, I have a radiant heat panel that is sitting at the top of the enclosure, radiating the heat down towards the bottom. This helps create a temperature gradient. So on the warm side of his enclosure, which is this side behind the cat, on the warm side of his enclosure, it is between 85, 87 degrees generally. And for fun, I have a couple slate slabs on the bottom that get a little bit warmer should he want something a little extra. But it also helps to keep that warm side warm. And then with that gradient on the cool side, this side of the enclosure, it sits between 75 and 80 degrees-ish. And that gives him the choice if he wants to be warm and cozy to go on this side, or nice and cool to be on this side. If you have not if, but whatever heat source you choose, always, always, always put it on a thermostat, because heat is one of the fastest ways that you can kill your snake. And you do not want your snake to roast to death in their house. That would be horrible. You would feel terrible. It would be a terrible thing for the animal. Get a thermostat. They're very important. Additionally, something you can do is you can get like a shade dweller, UVA, UVB. And while snakes are mostly, in the day, they're mostly going to be in burrows, taking a nap, because they are crepuscular animals, which means they're active in the morning and in the evenings. Not during the day and not in the middle of the night generally. So they're not going to get tons of sun, but it never hurts to be able to have some UVA or UVB for your animal. and just give them as close to a natural environment as you can. It's very cool. Now, for humidity, I have little like a temperature and humidity probes in his enclosure so I can keep track of the humidity. You're going to want to keep your humidity on the higher end. Mine, I generally do between 60 and 70% humidity. And when it comes time to shed, I'll bump it up. I'll spray his enclosure more often just to ensure that he has a nice, good, solid shed. Now, if your humidity is too low, this can cause your snake to have a poor shed and to have stuck shed. And that can be very difficult for them to get off and can be very uncomfortable for your snake. So if you do have shedding issues in your snake, you should first look at your humidity, see if you need to increase the humidity for the next shed. If you have stuck shed, you can give them a warm soak, not too hot, like a 70, 80 degree warm soak for a few minutes, and then give them a nice towel to rub on to dry off so they don't lose heat, and for them to rub that extra shed off. When your snake sheds, they should be shedding in one solid piece. One like taking off a sock. They start at the head and go throughout the body until they are fresh and new with their brand new paint. When it comes to feeding your animal, that's what's going to make them grow, to have those cool sheds. You're going to want to feed your snake differently throughout their life. Lieutenant Dan here, when he was a baby, I tried to keep his feeding at about 15% of his body weight, and I would feed him between every 7 to 10 days, depending. Some days I would do 7, and then maybe depending on the size of his rat, if it was a little heavier, I'd give him a little more time to digest. But by the time your snake is an adult, they should be not specifically an adult male. They shouldn't be eating anything larger than a small rat. Could they eat a large rat? Sure. Well, maybe not a large, but a medium rat? Sure. A larger prey item? Sure. But you also don't want your snake to become obese or to get fatty liver disease, because that's going to make your snake live a shorter life. And we don't want that. Now, there is a lot of education out there, a lot of information saying you have to feed your snake like this, you have to do this, you have to do that. Just because it's something that I do, or just because it is something that someone else does not mean that that is exactly what you need to do. Every snake is an individual and should be treated as such. So this is all generally speaking, right? So when they're an adult, like I said, he's eating a small rat every 2 weeks. You don't generally want to go any wider than the thickest part of their body, no matter what they're eating. Because that is, again, how we become obese snakes, and we don't want that. We want our snakes to live a long, happy, healthy life. And snakes, they have slow metabolism, so it's okay to feed them less. Now, if I randomly one day give him, let's say I go a little crazy and I give him a medium rat once, just to see what he does as a special treat, because it is good to vary their diets. I would give him the medium rat, and then I would maybe wait 3 weeks before I feed him again, give him extra time to digest that larger meal. So you can be fluid. You don't have to be so rigid in your feeding schedules. You can switch up your prey items. You can rotate the time in between feeds, because that can actually be very good for your animal, because in the wild, they're not necessarily gonna eat that often. And perhaps that's why some snakes go on hunger strikes, ball pythons, because maybe they're getting fed too often. Who knows? I am very fortunate in that Lieutenant Dan has never skipped a meal on me. He has eaten reliably every single time I have fed him. He is a testament to snakes everywhere. He is the most specialist ball python boy who eats all of his food and is a sweet, sweet young man. Very good eater. I love him. Now that all that is said, I'm trying to think of other things offhand that perhaps you need to know for keeping your animal. Maybe I should talk about socializing them or not socializing them. Maybe I'll do that in another video. You let me know, because I think I've prattled on long enough. But if you liked that video, please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm always in the comments. I always try to reply if I can. And until next time, friends, never stop learning. because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. See ya!